It's been a long road for Prince Charles, 70 years on a route he didn't choose, waiting for a job he never asked for. But in what may be the final stretch before the Prince of Wales ascends to the throne, we've come to Wales for insight into the next king. A dairy farm may seem an unlikely place to learn about royalty, but not this royal. His title written on the side of the building in both English and Welsh.
He came here in 2008 and opened the dairy.
The certified organic operation is run by Patrick Holden, a friend of the prince and at times his advisor on sustainability.
He somehow has an instinct to understand important issues, very often decades ahead of his time and everyone else's time. And I think that so many of the issues today around the environment, about climate change, they all go back to this intuition that he had when he was a young man.
Charles was only 3 when his mother became monarch. With her abrupt transformation from princess to queen, he was handed a lifetime to be spent as king in waiting. It's given Charles plenty of time to explore his passion projects, like the sustainable farming pioneered on this property. Accession is such a delicate topic, Holden says Charles has never brought it up directly, but
what must it have been like to be waiting that long? I'm sure frustrating at times, and I also think that he knows that when he steps up one, as they say, and becomes king, the constraints on him will increase.
At Buckingham Palace, the plans have been in place for years, with Charles taking on more and more of the Queen's duties. At 96, she barely spends any time here now, and he's stepping in for her, at events where the monarch's absence would have long been unthinkable. Laying the Queen's wreath in London on Remembrance Sunday, handing out ceremonial coins at the ancient Royal Maundy Church service, and for the first time, reading the Queen's speech at Britain's state opening of Parliament.
Her Majesty prays that the blessing of Almighty God may rest upon your counsels.
And all this time I've been saying.
Singer-songwriter Joan Armatrading received her Order of the British Empire Award not from the Queen, but Charles.
The British public will be in very, very safe, caring hands when he becomes king. I think a lot of people who doubt his character, I think they're going to be very surprised.
An ambassador for the Prince's Trust charities since the 1980s, she's met Charles again and again and had a rare look behind the public persona, beyond the image of a prince flying on private jets and driving a vintage sports car that runs on surplus wine and cheese. Really.
He's realized that we are in changed times. This is not, 50, 60, 70 years ago. I think people don't see him as realizing, because I think they have a concept of him that isn't quite as it should be.
Across the Commonwealth, the next monarch will inherit fewer realms and a diminished influence, with the British Empire a thing of the past and former colonies grappling with historical injustices. On his trip to Canada, the Prince will meet with Indigenous elders and honor victims of residential schools. Matthew Rowe, a former top aide for Charles's Canadian charities, is among those eager to greet him again.
When we would be having discussions with him about the charitable work, he would remember something that we had said like 4 years ago and bring it up in discussions. And so I think that's why he's going to be a very good king, because he has a very good memory and a very good way of sort of keeping things moving forward.
And he's poised to keep things moving forward with a slimmer monarchy. When Charles is king, Camilla will be known as Queen Consort, as William and Kate become Prince and Princess of Wales. Their children may grow into senior roles, but other than Charles's siblings, Anne and Edward, close relatives will likely seldom be seen in public with the family.
When Charles becomes king, he's going to have his support system. The number of working royals supporting him is, you can count them on one hand.
Patricia Treble in Toronto has been writing about the royals for more than 20 years. At the Queen's Platinum Jubilee in June, she expects to see one final balcony moment as the family prepares for the end of this Elizabethan era.
Is that the last hurrah? I don't know. It could be the last hurrah for her. And I think that's a lot of people are going to be going to see, is to see the Queen one last time.
In here, there's about 30 tons of cheese.
Back at the farm in Wales, Patrick Holden shows off his organic cheese and shares a realization. There will come a day soon when Charles will have less time to devote to passions like this and his charities.
Constraints on his time will mean that he'll have to be less involved and possibly a little bit more distanced. I think there's no doubt that he will handle the accession to the throne impeccably.
No one knows how much longer Charles will be on the road to his reign. His journey from prince to king has been just as meaningful, perhaps, as the destination. Thomas Daigle, CBC News, Lampeter, Wales.